Hello, I'm Sheriff Kevin Rambosk, and I want to welcome you to On Scene.
My name is Neil Bohannon. I'm the First Sergeant Patrol for the Collier County Sheriff's Office, and with me today is Tracy Ramsey. We were contacted by Miss Ramsey last week with a very interesting and heroic story that I'm sure she downplays quite a bit, but certainly a heroic story on her part. And Miss Ramsey had the opportunity to attend a presentation that we give here as part of the Collier County Sheriff's Office, and it's an active shooter response presentation for civilians. And we offer it free to all of our Collier County citizens, businesses, and various other groups. And she happened to attend one of our presentations back in March of this year over at the Neighborhood Health Clinic here locally. So she reached out to us because she was involved in a very, very tragic incident, which many people are aware of at this point. And just like to give her an opportunity to tell her story a little bit.
For me, as a nurse, it was the first time I had ever attended any type of active shooter training. So when we were at the concert and we heard the first 5 or 6 shots that sounded like fireworks, because fireworks had been at other concerts I'd attended, and there was a long pause, and then when the gunfire started kind of consistently without any hesitancy in the sounds, I kind of started to get a little like, this is not normal. People around us were saying, no, it doesn't sound like gunfire, but I felt it just wasn't normal. It just wasn't a normal sound for the venue. And so one of the things that this wonderful gentleman just said was run, hide, and fight. And where we were sitting, we really couldn't run. Because we had no idea where the shooter was. The sounds were coming from behind us. We couldn't really hide. We could hide under the seats, but again, we were out in the open. Anyone coming to us would see us under the seats. So the next option was to fight, and I was doing homework, so I had brought my homework with me into the venue and did it between sets, and the only thing I could find was my husband's pen, and all I could think was, if I have to fight for one of us to get out of here alive, I would fight, because that's what you had told us to do. So I had my pen, and thankfully as a nurse I know where to put that to do the most injury. Hindsight 2020, now we know where the shooter was. We were really in one of the safest places we could have been. If we had gotten under our seats or even stayed where we were, there's no way we would have been hit. So, but we didn't know that at the time. So we sat there and we waited, and then we got under the seats and I will tell you, I have no idea of time. I don't know if it was seconds, minutes. We got under our seats and we stayed there until someone said we needed to evacuate. And that was at the same time, a little right after when they ran off the stage and the people were running out of the audience in the ground below. So and then we were walked out of there by, there was a gate behind us where we were sitting, but we were sent back into the venue instead of out onto the strip, because as they started sending people out on the strip, there was more shooting. So they sent us back into the venue, and we had to kind of maneuver our way back through to the Tropicana, the alley in the Tropicana. So, as I said, we were very fortunate that we were in a safe place and that we could get out of there. But again, I would have never thought to fight that, not knowing what I needed to do from that training. It's not something that's instinctive to people. It's instinctive when you hear gunfire to drop. And that's, had I not heard that from you, I probably would have done that. But it makes a huge difference to keep moving. And it's something everyone should have to hear and know, because you don't know if you're ever going to be in that situation. The gunfire, the shooting would stop, and then, you know, we'd be moving, and then there was at one point we got behind a row of bleachers and a large metal wall, which we were probably pretty safe there, but we didn't really know. Again, we thought because of the way the shooting sounded and the way it changed, we thought there was more than one shooter, or at least my husband and I did. I don't know what other people thought, but we thought there was more than one because of the sound of gunfire, and because my husband, military trained, said there's no way one person can shoot that quickly, for that long of a time. So we were going on the basis that there were more than one and they were somewhere in the venue. So when we got behind this and the gunfire started again, everyone stopped and dropped. And everyone just stayed huddled together, and no one would move, and we were wall-to-wall people through that area, and I just couldn't get people to move. And we were saying, no, we're sitting targets here, we need to keep moving, we're just sitting ducks, and it was hard because we couldn't go anywhere, we couldn't move anywhere. Be ready, know what you need to do, know to look at your surroundings and know where you need to go. I knew where our exit was when we got in there, but again, that was an exit that we couldn't use, so we had to rely on the people in the venue. And I will tell you, Route 91, they did everything to make sure we were safe inside there, because they made sure we got to where we needed to be safe. They checked every bag going in and out of that concert all 3 days. There was no way anyone that was in that venue other than law enforcement would have any weapons of any sort, because they were very meticulous about checking bags. You know, my husband had a scooter because he'd had surgery. They checked that all out. So there was no way that could have been prevented at that venue, but it's just knowing. It's knowing what you need to do. It's knowing where you need to be, what you need to be looking for. As I said, when we were leaving and we were going out with everybody else, I was looking at everybody's hands as we were going out to make sure I didn't see something that shouldn't have been there.
Our training obviously is predicated on the Department of Homeland Security Run Hide Fight protocol. There are several nationally recognized models for active shooter response for civilians. We've chosen Run Hide Fight. We just felt it was the easiest thing for people to remember. The concepts are pretty straightforward, and they're very valid, as we, as Tracy just elaborated. They're very valid. The key component is I think what she said is movement. If you don't know what else to do, movement is always going to be your best friend, because it's certainly harder to hit a moving target than it is a stationary target. So if we can get people to do anything, it's move, it's run, it's to go as fast as you can. With that being said, we understand that not all the time is running maybe going to be an option for you. So then we look at the next phase, which is hiding. But hiding comes with its own set of circumstances, and as not just hiding for hiding's sake, but understanding where you're hiding, taking the 5 minutes to look around your work area, look around where you are, and evaluate what can you use, where could you hide if you needed to, what's available to you to barricade that location, can you barricade it sufficiently to prevent somebody from getting into you, and all those things. And then finally, fighting. Fighting certainly a last option, but we want our people, our citizens, to understand. If you have no other choice, you know, if you're face to face with a gunman in an active shooter situation, you got to have already made the choice in your mind. Do you believe that you are capable of fighting for your life? Because at that moment, you are faced with the very real possibility of voluntarily surrendering your life to that person or fighting for it. So the biggest thing that we want people to come away from the training with is just understanding, taking the few moments in your mind to evaluate your surroundings wherever you go. As Tracy learned, we did it at the neighborhood health clinic, but it wasn't just for that setting. It was for all settings you may find yourself in life. And I think she did a fantastic job of just having good situational awareness, understanding where she was. As she told you, she knew where an exit was when she walked in. So she made note of little things. And if nothing else, those little things made her more calm and able to think a lot more clearly when she found herself in that situation. So those are things we want to take away, is that mindset, understanding that you can do little things every day to just prepare yourself mentally.
The piece of the information that we provide with the active shooter training that Sergeant Bohanna present has to do more with how to address 3 leading causes of preventable death. One of them being a bleeding out from an extremity, any penetrating injury to the chest, and then some basic airway emergencies, somebody having difficulty breathing, not necessarily because of a medical emergency, although in her case, that was the emergency that she encountered. And they just sort of like give them tools and give them options. So basically what we do, we share with the participants how to improvise if they don't have a commercially designed tourniquet, how to utilize the things around them, or maybe something that they have on their own person, or you know, to go ahead and stop the bleed. The principle is that we all carry a limited amount of blood. So with that, it is important to maintain as much as possible, you know, within the body. So just be aggressive in the same way that Sergeant Bohannon, you know, gets them to think quickly and aggressively how to look for options, how to survive. The same way we try to address the same, you know, the same principle. You know, you need to be aggressive and make sure that you have options. So I think the principle is just give the layperson, in her case, she has medical training, so she has an advantage there. But just give them options, same way that she had options, you know, what to do in that moment as you know, to preserve her life and her husband's life, what to do in a medical emergency as well.
We hope you've enjoyed our program, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Thank you for being our partner for a safe community.